Okay, hello friends. So what I'm doing today is I've mentioned on my Facebook page that my speedometer is not working properly. It's about 20 kilometers under the speed limit, and a few people say that it's the capacitor that's going in it. We'll find that out. But I do have two other clusters. This one here, got the cruise control on it, so that's from a 95. That's what I'm going to swap, and I'll probably use the parts from this one to fix that one. This is from a 90 model. But for now, I've got registration due, I've got an inspection happening, so I just want to get the cluster working properly. Because when they do a brake test, they've got to get up to 50 kilometers, hit the brakes, and they're going to know straight away when they're doing 50 kilometers on my car, they're doing 70. Yeah, first of all, to remove all of this, you need to get to two bolts that's underneath. Now, if you look at my other video with removing cup holder, it'll show you access to those two bolts. That's how to get access to those two bolts underneath there. I never put them back in because it's just too much of a pain to take them in and out. So we'll go straight to the cluster. I'll remove the fuse box cover, and I've got 4 screws here that I need to remove. Now I'll be able to remove this, and the part over here, I don't know if you can see it from where I've got the camera. I can't really tilt it enough to get it out of the way for you. But so what I'm going to do here, because I know that I don't have any screws underneath the bottom there, I'm just going to get a little screwdriver here and just pop that up. I don't really need to unbolt unplug the head unit at the moment because I can get access to the 2 screws that I need to remove that with. But I'm going to, because I've got a dash cam I want to run some wiring behind. Okay, I'll just get the head unit out of the way. Put that on the back seat, it's nice and safe. And I've got 2 screws behind here. I've got a video on removing the cluster, doing cluster the lights in the cluster, but you know, it's probably about 15-20 years old, that video. So you know, just try to keep videos up to date, try and make better footage when you can. Okay, so that's that side there undone. But now, actually came out easy for me, but this side here normally it's really hard to get off of over here. And what I do is just get this little screwdriver and just kind of get it in and just work it out. But don't force it, because a lot of people break them when they're trying to force it. You know, there's no real special clip to it. If you can see the pattern of that, it's just kind of like clips in there. You can see that? The top and bottom just kind of like clips in there. You get a screwdriver in there, just be careful with it, it slides out. Put that on the back as well. Okay, now I'm at the cluster. So there's 4 screws that need to come out now. Because this is only going to be in temporarily, I'm not going to bolt the new one in, the replacement one in, because it looks good on it, yeah, and you wouldn't know. Okay, so now that's undone, it'll be easy to undo it. Now, the reason why I want this cluster, other than the other 95 cluster, the only difference between the two is this one has miles and kilometers. I got this cluster from the UK. In Australia we don't have that, so that's why I got this cluster. Now I want this cluster to still be working. I just need to swap over some parts. But I will pull this one apart to see if there is a capacitor that needs replacing. Now, before pulling this out, like I just did then, I don't have the gear selector connected, so I can just take this straight out. But what you need to do is remove this cover here, and you need to then drop this all the way down so you can get access to the clip. You unclip it, and that's it there. I'm going to try and fix that as well, so I won't make this video of just removing it. I'll make this video of installing as well, So that way you can see me connect this up. I'll actually remove that plate there and you'll see me connect it back up. Now I might be wrong, I might have to be all the way up, but it's one way or the other. And it just clips in with these little round parts here. Just clips into a little metal mount that's underneath there. Okay, so now to unclip all this, they're just normal press plug release. All them. And now for anybody else that just comes straight out, but I actually have some extra wiring that I need to remove first, because I have a I'll show you in a minute. I have a little voltage part that I added, but you can see that's already the new cluster to plug in. Now my van is a 92 van and I've got a 95 cluster, and these wires here, I've had to, like you can see, I've extended wires here to reach, because it had to come over from one of these connections. Not really too sure which one now, but I had to swap a lot of wiring around. I had to undo it because the circuit board on the back from this one here to this one here are completely different. Even though just glancing at it they look the same, they're not. Okay, so with the bonnet release, there's two screws that you normally undo there, but I never put my screws back in, so I can just push it out like that. It's all about easy access, you know, because I like to get in there and do things. So I've just got the one screw here to undo. That screw side there's already undone. Okay, I can now just move this out of the way. That can be pulled apart. I'll put this other 95 one in, and it's all hunky-dory. Now the speedometer on it reads differently. I won't pull it apart until after rego. This video might be a little bit extended. I'll have to time that I've just swapped it out. Give them the correct reading. It's definitely done more than 409,000 kilometres. Last plug. There. Put that in. Cluster lights aren't working. Obviously they are. A bit hard to see. Working. So my rev count is working. Don't know if the fuel gauge is working. Break off. Yeah. I don't know if this is how it's supposed to work, but my gear selector bar there is lit up and it dims when I turn the parkers on. My other one only lights up when you turn the parkers on. Cruise control. Cruise control light comes on, fuel gauge is going up, so it's reading. So I know that I had roughly about half a tank. Temperature gauge was coming up. So it looks like I don't have to do anything more than that, just put it back together But I'm going to test the speedo though to see what the speedo reads. So what I'm going to do now is just I'm going to put the wiring through. I'm going to get rid of this dash cam. I've got another one up there. And I'll just finish up what I'm doing here, put the stereo back in so I can use the scan tool, and then we'll check the speedo. Right, so that's the clip there I was talking about. If I can try and not shake the camera and show you, you just unclip that, let it go, put it back in like that, and doing that, the arm's all the way down. Now I can bring that all the way back up, and I wouldn't mind having an American one actually, but now that's all. Haven't seen that work in ages because I haven't really cared about it. So now I can go for a drive. Well, soon I can go for a drive, test the speedo. Just trying to give you a bit of a different angle there. I'm going to put this back on. I've only got 2 screws holding that cluster in, one on either side. It's not that big a deal really. I'm going to put this back in. So this side here I'm focusing on first. Just make sure that's in. Put that in. Okay. Good stuff. Yeah, so that's still connected. I wasn't sure if I'd reconnected it after making my last bit of clip. That's why I checked just then. Okay, so I'm just going to put these screws in the side here. You know, I think I might just put the one, because it's going to come back out soon anyway. Now I just want to go over a few things. If you wanted to change the LED, change the lights in these to LED, I wouldn't, because I did that once before, not long after I got the van actually. You know, I don't know if the newer clusters do the same thing, and I would assume they do because it's, you know, it's the same car or same van. You know, taking all these out and putting LED ones in. There's no light in that one. Well, probably, what is it? Airbag. I don't have airbag. So, you know, taking these out and replacing them with LEDs. All of mine at night, like in the daytime it was fine, but at night time they are all just dim. You know, all my lights are lit up on the dash, and you can only tell at night time, and that was bugging me. So I changed it all back to standard bulbs. But you know, if you wanted to, this is these ones here for just lighting up the cluster when you turn your parkers on. So you can change these to LED, which I did. But all the other ones, the warning lights, keep as standard bulbs. So this cluster here came out of a Previa 94, but UK Previa. What I'd really like to do is get one of those from the American Previa, so I can, you know, switch the wiring around, because I like how it's got a light for each gear that you're in. But anyway, this one's going to be pulled apart soon. I'll make a separate video for that. Plug this back in. Yeah, ABS light and everything comes on. Everything looks like it's working like it should. So the 94 and the 95 must be compatible. Now I've got the dash cam now plugged into the stereo to get its power. I might have to change that. It sounds like it keeps on rebooting itself. Put the screws back in like that, like the other side. I'm only going to put 2 screws back in, the most important ones. Now you can, if you want to, put the 2 bottom screws back in for anti-theft. I mean, like if you've paid for a really expensive unit, you might want to. That's in. Put the fuse box cover back on. Cover back on. Put the screws back in. I've got to fix those switches up again one day. This here turns my interior light on, so I don't have to, like if I'm trying to look at the back, like the kids playing up or something like that, I can just turn the light back on and go, oh, he's doing, turn it back off. That switches between my fog lights and my main high beam, so whichever. I don't drive in foggy areas often, but when I do, it's handy just to be able to flick over. Okay. Put the screw back on this side. GPS is delayed, so they don't always read the same every second, but they're pretty close. Cruise control on, 60 on the speedo. Just a little bit under, but climbing a hill. Just a little hill. Okay, spot on 60 right now. Yep, beautiful. Everything's working like it should. So when I get up to 100, better turn that down. Just going to go over to a speed limit where the speed limit's 100 k's, just to test it. I'm hoping the video turns out good too, because I can't see what it's recording, how shaky it is. Okay, so I'm about 2 k's out. Not that you'll notice. Oh, someone behind me now. Might give you the opportunity to overtake me. Now I'll get up to the speed line. parked on the other side of a little hill somewhere. You don't see them until you've come over it. Yeah, I scored a 95 van a few years back now. You probably would have seen it in another video. Ended up stripping it, but I kept everything from it, like the cluster and the side cards, the door cards, the carpet. You know, basically sent a bare shell to the wreckers. The only thing I couldn't get out was the transmission and the ABS rear diff, which I would have liked. And I sent the van off to the wreckers, and I said to them, "Do you mind if I come back and get the gearbox net out of it?" And they said, "Yeah, no worries, you know, when you're ready." And I was a bit